Hello. So Tim Pool is an NPC, and you're a real human being.
Of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year.
Talk about technology and how the ways it can be deployed, that contribute to growth rather than exacerbate unemployment. How will that implement itself?
So join the digital revolution in Ukraine, in Europe, and in the world through our state platform, United 24.
In case this the last time you ever hear
We are
from me.
launching a major digital initiative, Digital for Freedom. Everyone will be able to contribute to the development of digital infrastructure the way you like.
It's a big question mark.
When they started with the Cape Crusaders, we're going to confound them with conundrums.
What thing?
Must perplex them with puzzles. Wish they were dead.
It was run by the CIA's brainwashing experts. Here at McGill University in Montreal, the fund found 3 projects worth financing.
They supported an extensive study of witch doctors in Nigeria.
This is,
How, investigators
let's say,
wondered, did
fiction.
native healers
Will not
cure
happen.
mental illness?
When I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though. Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look, they would have Michael Jackson or worse, yeah.
Exactly, and it replaces maybe the workforce or jobs faster than we can replace them with the new jobs.
So, not everybody can be a robot polisher, but once.
I've practiced Chinese water torture on myself. I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Cut.
I just realized I'm retarded and I left it on mute. Hey, what's up, guys? We're here for a fucking for Ponyboys. This is the No Way Jose show. You can find me on YouTube, all the major odd podcasters in Aussie as well. Yeah, I know. Everyone, I see you all in the chat. Tell me I'm muted. I fucked up. I didn't unmute. It happens. It happens, guys. Today, like I said, for Ponyboys. I'm fucking looking forward to this. It's gonna be a fun one. This is an interesting fella. I think he's really gonna blow up here soon. I've been looking at some of his shit and just. He's an amazing writer, a lot of cool shit. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. It's all over the fucking place. It'll be a fun time. But yeah, if you guys can't see the title, my guest today is Shane Cashman. I have Clint with me as well as Top. We'll get into it here in a second. I do want to let you guys know these 4 Ponyboys are not behind the paywall. Normally how it works is I do the record prior and I release them roughly a week ahead of time. If you want that, it's patreon.com. No Way Jose 2020. Lowest levels $2, highest levels 20. 20 is my sponsors. I have Mikkel Thorpe, the Expat Money Show. Jeremy has the Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/raising liberty. Follow him on Twitter at Jeremy Rhymes. I have Toad, who's my co-host of Tower Gang. You can follow him at Tower Gang Toad. And also Zach Overacker at ZOVERACK, Zoverak. Patreon.com, No Way Jose 2020. All right, let's go ahead and get the homies in here. Let's get to it. What's up, my dude? You ready for this?
I'm so pumped. I talked to Roger Stone today. I've talked to Dr. Robert Malone. I have not been this excited about a show in a long time. Shane Cashman's the fucking real deal, so I'm pumped.
Yeah. I like this one is one, I'll be honest, it like fell in my lap. Just like someone was like, hey, you should talk to this guy. And then like I usually like if someone I don't really know, I mean I dug into a little bit before I like even agreed to it. It's like, okay, there's enough here to dig into it. And once I started really digging, I'm like, all right, there's some shit here. I'm like, dude, let's fucking go.
You'll know why.
Yeah. All right, let's get Top in here. What's up, my dude?
Hey, what's up?
What's
man,
up?
I share the sentiment that Clint shares, man. This is probably going to be one of my most favorite people to talk to. Just like digging through his work briefly, I am super stoked, so I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. I do want to preface, I guess this will be kind of a, I guess a caveat for me, the first talking point, but if you guys saw that little intro, there was that one little bit where it's like Tim Pool's an NPC, and I actually used to kind of think that, and then just recently I saw the episode with Shane Cashman and Eliza, And towards the end, he kind of alluded to that it seems to be maybe sentiments changed on Ye a little bit. And I actually said to Shane, kind of in one of our interactions before the show at one point, that like this is kind of my ultimate litmus test, like your take on Ye. And Tim just kind of by the end passed, and it kind of makes me like, all right, maybe there's clearly some more going on here. I'll be honest, I'm not gonna follow Tim Pool a lot. I've only watched him and like some of my friends around there. But like when he said that, I'm like, all right, you know what, dude, this could be something. Like I'm looking forward to like seeing Top Clint talk to Tim, see where that goes. I think there's something there. I'm kind of interested to see what Shane has to say. Maybe maybe he can allude more to like kind of his thoughts now. Maybe it's not as simple as before. And I don't know. He's right on. He's right with us in the whole Ye. So let's do this, dude. Shane,
what's good? What's good, guys?
What's up,
I appreciate
man?
the kind words. I was having like flashbacks for Ye saying Tim's an NPC because I was watching that happen on my phone, like in the airport on the way to go see him. So, and at that time, I'm talking to Tim. I'm like, yo, you cool with this, right? And he was like, yeah, man. I was like, all right, thank you so much. You know, because I was, you know, I think Tim had just had no idea who Ye was. I think he knew of him as like a cultural person, but than that, I don't think he ever really knew much. And it just so happened that I happen to be someone who's been very invested in Ye since College Dropout. You know, since I was a freshman in college, and it just happened. I remember going to the airport that day, and he's just burning everything down on Alex Jones, and I'm like, this is I felt like I was flying into a war zone. But yeah, shout out to Tim for letting me do it. No matter what it was saying, he still was like, do it. And my light might explode. I think I just heard it pop. So I'm in a haunted ship now. So my bad if I get abducted.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, yeah, I highly suggest you wrote 2 articles on your interaction with Ye. For those who don't know, shortly after you went and interviewed Ye, it was really great stuff. I've read the first one. It was one of those articles I stayed gripped, and I had to take a couple breaks because I have kids and stuff, but like I still kept be like, God damn, I just need to get to a point where I can take a break so I can read the more. So I kept coming back to it, and yeah, it was definitely worth it. It was a good article. You're a great writer. I'll give you that. Like, and I'm actually kind of guy typically doesn't really care for like articles. I either read like the smallest of stuff, like fucking tweets, or like the longest of shit, like full on books. I don't normally dig into articles, but like that one,
it didn't read like an article. It read like a novella, if that makes any sense. It was like a short story. You had me fully engulfed with it.
I was it was funny because I only had like 5 pages before Ye showed up to IRL that day because I was already writing something about him. I was already writing something for people to read to take him and his presidency seriously, his candidacy. And then it just so happened that it fell into that, and I had a lot to say. Couldn't stop.
Yeah. Well, the reason I appreciate it is like, it's not even that I think you are a great writer, but it's not even that you're a great writer, but it's that you have great things to say. And it's very rare that a writer, in my experience, has much to say. It does, like they think they do, but they don't. Yeah. Because it's all kind of rehashed, reiterated talking points from, you know, liberal accepted conversation, the Overton window. And you're just like, let me fucking blast every window in this motherfucker. And I love that. And I mean, even when you said it explicitly, you know, you've always kind of looked up to people that are willing to do that. I feel a kindred spirit in that regard. I'm like, I am willing to take personal damage to tell the truth. And I think that there's not enough people like that. So anytime I find one, I'm like, all right, this is my tribe.
I appreciate that. I was very upset with people on the left and the right just not understanding what Ye was doing, especially that week. Also many years before, but especially that week. And people who I would, you know, for the most part, be like, I look up to them, but like I listen to them and I think they're right a lot of the times. And I mentioned some of them in the article. I'm just like, they've been right about a lot of stuff, but they've been wrong about the most important stuff. And for me, like you were saying, Jose, like Ye is a litmus test for a lot of these reasons with certain people. You know, like, I've kind of, for whatever reason, always looked at Ye as, you know, someone who is kind of setting the standard for art in general and just a conversation, you know, whether it's politics, music, fashion. And it's not like I don't even like, I'm not a big fan of fashion. I don't have Yeezys. I don't like rock any of that stuff. But I love his art. I love what he does. And I saw the opportunity to kind of tell it the way I saw it. And that fell on my lap. I did not expect, the day before I didn't know Ye was going to be there. And then I woke up with a message from Tim saying, you should probably come by. In my mind, I literally knew what was happening. No one told me until I got there, but I was like, I think I know what's going on. But yeah, it felt good to like kind of give my take, and a lot of flack for it from friends, but whatever.
Out of curiosity, do you feel like you understand him better, or like I'm sure, because I have a very similar feeling towards him after watching him for 20 years and just, loving everything he did, basically. I'm just curious if, like, one, do you have a better opinion of him, a lesser opinion? Did he meet the standard that you expected? And also, does he come across as special? Like, does he come across as like a star just in regular conversation?
Yes. On the way out there, I will say I was like, I'm going to be let down. I'm always prepared to be let down. And I don't look up to literally anybody. But I respect the shit out of him. And I was like, I'm going to get out there and it's just going to be terrible. And, it is what it is. And then the second I saw him, and that would be in LA, and that's the first time since we talked briefly at IRL, right after he walked out, he was like all smiles. He remembered me. He was referencing things already that we had talked about. And so I immediately felt like just like comfortable to just say whatever I felt like saying, even if it was questioning things I didn't agree with or whatever. It was just understand. But yeah, after that weekend, I kept joking about this, but I think I levitated home. Like it felt like I was with someone who was, he exceeded my expectations because I got to see him do all the things that I was really interested in, whether it was making music, talking politics, dealing with business stuff. I saw.
You got to see Kanye in the lab.
Excel at it. Yeah, it was crazy. And,
so
I think,
cool.
I think I was like actually invested in a story that was going to be different than what a lot of other people were saying about him, especially after what had happened that week. Because it was like, if you even mention his name, it was like Voldemort for people. And I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have it. And so the first thing I said to him, I was like, it's been a beautiful week, right? And he loved that because like I'm sure he's been inundated with texts like that whole weekend, people saying, don't do this, don't say that, you're making me depressed. And I was just like, dude, fuck that. Like, this is great. This is exciting. This is what you've always done. Like literally what you've always done. This is just like the next step of that. So yeah, I left feeling like ultra inspired. And he knew that, I think, from the beginning. So he allowed me to see him go to church. We went to church together. We went to Bible study together. We went to the studio together and, wrote lyrics, and I did the Instagram thing and like all this stuff. So I was like, felt like I was in a dream. I felt like a Make-A-Wish kid.
Hey, Shane, this is an odd question, but do you know, or did it come up at all? Does Kanye have? I'm gonna keep calling him Kanye because whatever. Does he have perfect pitch or relative pitch or synesthesia or something like that? Did that come up? Do you know that?
It come up. I don't know about perfect pitch, but he definitely has said before he has synesthesia.
He said that?
So I think he does. Yeah, he's in other interviews like years ago. Yeah, I'd actually written a review of his gospel album, and when I was writing that, I'd been researching, and he said that in a few places that when he hears sounds, he sees certain colors. So he applies that, and I think that's been the case. I mean, when you know that, you go back, you can look at like Jesus, and you can kind of feel colors when you look at Jesus or Life of Pablo or literally anything he does. So you're sure with the synesthesia.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought. Whenever somebody kind of resonates with me, or like as a musician, especially, I always think right away, is this person, if they have synesthesia, they're doing it subconsciously, sort of. But if they have perfect pitch, they can do it more accurately. And it's just interesting how people can manipulate these. I'm going to get very Ian Cross on here, but they manipulate these vibrations to us to make you feel a certain way. That could be spoken word or music or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me. And everybody else needs to get on this shit because these guys made fun of me for my whole vibrational theory, but it's real.
I think he understands even down to like a word by word level how to cause that kind of vibration people. Like
Bingo.
Sitting with him and so like I think it was in the second story he and I are sitting in his hotel room, and I don't realize it at first, but I think maybe 5 or 10 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, I'm writing an Instagram post for Kanye. I didn't know it. I'm just like, what are we doing? We're just throwing words and ideas back and forth. Then he hands me his phone, and I'm finishing a Instagram post. But like in doing that, I'm seeing him being like, what word is going to cause the most damage? You know, what name coming in to cause the most damage? So once I realized we were doing that, I was like, okay, so if we're using Instagram, let's bring in Zuckerberg. That's good because we just talked about the Jews all week, so we'll do that. You know, and we'll throw in who else can we throw in? It happened to be Jay-Z's birthday, so it's just like who could throw in this? That was the whole Elon's a clone situation. But going through that, it was every single word. We must have written like 20 verses or drafts of that before it even went live, and it was hilarious. We were just laughing back and forth, and wild to see that like just get sent into the ether, and then within minutes people are hitting him up being like, I think I know, like he is a clone. But we were kind of just trolling, right? He might mean it, but like we were also just like, it's a funny thought that he was thinking all morning. And then he must have had like 20 messages being like, I have proof of Elon being a clone. Like, all right, sick.
Yeah, it is funny. Like I was reading your article, and I've also seen him in like interviews where he gets like really hyper focused on specific words or even things like body language. Whereas like I don't remember the specific passage in your article, but there was something along the lines where he was kind of like making out like English is like less than 30% of this. And he was like, it's kind of like it's about the other stuff. And so like a lot of people get focused on the specific words he said, like, is this exact? Is it that? And it's like, no, you need to like back up and see the whole picture and see what's going on here. This is like performance art. And it's like kind of funny because like especially this group, like because we have our other show Tower Gang, and like we kind of are all shit posters and came from that world. Like it's like I could kind of see like Top and Clint were big Ye fans. I was never like a big Ye fan, but like I kind of like got a vibe for what he was going for, especially once I watched like the Timcast, and especially once I watched like the InfoWars interview. I'm like, okay, I get it, because I saw the clips, and for me, I'm never like, especially coming from the shitpost world, I don't see this and I'm really go, oh my god, oh my stars and garters and clutch my pearls. Like I'm like, I just kind of laugh at the absurdity, and then like I'm like, if I'm really interested, maybe I'll go check it out, but I'm not gonna like freak out. I'm not gonna like try to drag this dude over like something I saw out of context. Like if I really want to go that way, I'm gonna like dig into it, and I did, and then I'm like, oh, I see what it is. Like that's a lot of times what happens with shit posting, where someone will say something, but it's like you'll say it in such a way that it causes this like bifurcation to where it's like you almost intentionally create these two camps where you have your people who get what you're saying. They get the signal you're sending out. You're sending out that in-group signal, but the out-group, they're like, what the fuck did you just say? You can't fucking say that. And like, and that was what I felt from
that's
like
every
Ye.
tweet from Top ever sent.
But Ye did it in such a way where it's kind of fucked up, because people that are like you said is Tim Pool and MPC. He had me thinking, is Dave Smith an MPC? And Dave Smith is why like we're here, because he had them all fucked up, like almost completely backwards. And I mean, our next guest, Robbie the Fire, he had him upside down too. And it's like, there's levels to what he was doing there, and he just skipped like 10 levels, and a lot of people did not catch on to it. It's sad, a little bit unfair, but I feel like they are catching on now. So thank you for writing that article, because Tim was like, I kind of get it now.
Let me just add real quick that the reason that I think that the three of us in particular got it right away is because what we do in the Tower Gang group chat is deliver drafts, do exactly what Kanye did with you, Shane, where you're like, how can I make this as inflammatory as possible, but like still get the point across in a way that like the people that know me will still get what my vibe is. And I saw that instantaneously in everything that Kanye was saying, because it was so inflammatory. You're like, I don't think he actually loves Hitler. You know, like you just like right away, you have like, if you hear someone say something that wild, you're like, you have to assume that that's probably not what they exactly mean. But most people were just like, this motherfucker loves Hitler. Can you believe this? Yeah. And it's so weird.
One of my favorite bars quotes he gave me was when I talking about that specific part, I was like, I think you're coming at this like from a Christ-like place, but also like a little Andy Kaufman-ish. And I know he's referenced Andy Kaufman before. I also love Andy Kaufman, and he told me Alex Jones put Andy Kaufman in an old folks home. And I was like, damn. And like he knew it. And I think like he was, yeah, oh God, it was so good. And I think once he knew like I was seeing it like that, we both got more comfortable because that was early on in that first day in LA. But yeah, I mean, he's constantly, first of all, I wasn't shocked at all because I've been following him forever. And like I say in the story, this is the same guy who said he was going to use a picture of the doctor that killed his mom as an album cover, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he said he forgave him. You know, this is the guy who wore a Confederate flag during Yeezus because he was trying to reclaim it. This is nothing like really new. It just sounds crazier because he found a new way to go there with even less words, which goes back to what you were saying about language and how he views language and stripping everything down. Which I think he's applied that to his music. Like in Yeezus, he stripped everything down and made one of the most aggressive rap records, I think. And I love that record, but he took I think like 70% of stuff. So when he says like, I love Hitler, it's just 3 words. He knew those 3 words were going to just blow up the world. And he did, because everywhere I was watching people in the airport reacting to it live as I'm about to board the plane. So it's like he cracked the code. he figured out how to say the least amount and have the most response, which is like, to me, as someone who writes, is like, I want to fight that idea because I want to just write these big articles and I love language, But I get what he's saying because a lot of people right now are having a hard time communicating. So by him doing something like that, as destructive as a lot of people think it is, I think it's a way for him to like heal people and just be like, I'm going to say the most ridiculous thing, and now we have to come together. And we're all talking about it. I've talked to a lot of people about it. A lot of people who are very upset. I think I can sway their opinions on Ye now. So that's a win.
Let me just add too that like destruction is not necessarily bad. It depends on what you're destroying. And from what I sensed from him is that, especially after he got his bank accounts frozen, I think that he decided, I'm going to destroy this entire apparatus that allows for people to be treated like this. And I think that like he wanted to both embolden people to speak more honestly and the truth, but he also wanted to show the extent at which cancel culture can actually come for you. And if he's the richest black man in history, probably, other than maybe some king in Africa or something, then like no one's safe, especially when like black people are considered a protected class in America to most people, particularly the people that are pursuing him. Do you think that went into his decision-making process?
Yes. I think he said that somewhere too. I think he had mentioned like, if they could do this to me, they can do it to you. And that was probably like a week or 2 before I saw him. So he's definitely thinking about that when he's doing stuff like this. He wants to, I agree. Destruction doesn't have to always negative. I think he also thinks that way too. I was thinking about, there's like, I forget where it was, but there was tribe. I want to say that when they experienced a loss in their family, they would burn all their belongings down with the house to start over, and then moving on. I was like, okay, damn, something like Dionysus like tribe. Something to that with me that resonated because I also like minimalism. I don't really like things. I don't anti-materialism. If you want shit, that's cool, but I don't really care for things. So I saw what Ye was doing is like, I'm going to destroy to rebuild. And that to me is very appealing because that's what we need.
I do find something really interesting too, in that it seems to be he almost understands where people downplay him and then plays off of that as well. Because one line like really stuck out to me in your article. There was one line, I can't remember the specific people. He said like Trump and like other people he's met personally and engaged with, and he said he straight up said like, in the article you said, I'm assuming these were his exact words. He's like, they look at me like I'm a dumb nigger. Like that's what he said, and it's like it's almost like he understands like these motherfuckers are downplaying me, so I'm gonna use that as a fucking strength. And it's like kind of fucking genius because like part of that is like you see that interview with like Alex Jones, and he probably knew there was some aspect of people are gonna look at me like I'm stupid, like I'm crazy, and you know what? I'm gonna let those fucking retards walk right into that fucking trap and let them get blindsided by it. And like. Yeah, I don't know if you have any of that.
That quote, oh my God, he's looking me right in the eyes as he said. I was like, damn. His ex-wife said. He said his ex-wife. He said Trump. Kushner, you know, like, damn. But
And he's not
it's
wrong
true.
either, by the way.
No, no. I mean, he has said, Ye has said, like, when Trump told him that he was good for black vote, he didn't take too well to that, you know, and he probably got triggered on IRL when it was said then, you know, and then he didn't walk off much longer than that, you know. So I think when he hears those things, he gets like, oh, now I'm going to double down. You can't tell him, you know, what he's going to be like. If you say he's one thing, he will make it worse for you. You know, that's like a superpower thing with him. So I found that to be fascinating. And it was funny. Earlier today, I was thinking about, you know, those stories and how possibly multidimensional just Alex Jones week was with him. Because also, like, that comes after the Tucker interview, which was like a week or two before that, I think. And then the other one, I forget that guy's name, the British dude,
Piers Morgan.
Was when he said Biden was fucking retarded. Like, that interview was great. But there was a lot of people on the so-called right, like, you know, before the Tucker stuff, really, they were really going to embrace Ye now. He's like really going to bust. I don't think he liked that either, right? He was like, I don't like that, so now I'm going to make it worse for everybody. I think this is just me thinking today, like, that might have played into it a little bit as well. He's like, how can I alienate everybody right now, even the people who were like supporting me, because I don't like the way they're talking about me. Because after the weekend, and it's just the weekend, but I think that's kind of how he sees things. There's he multitasks in his business and music all at once, but also obviously thing. After just writing that Instagram post and like we wrote some lyrics and stuff, I was like, this guy is on a different level. I remember calling my wife and being like, I've never been around someone like this before in my life. As well as I think I know him, it's like there's an energy, there's a it was just like almost like when you leave, I had to go to sleep immediately. It was like so much of my energy was used in that time that it felt like I don't know how you could even I couldn't imagine being like that all the time, which is why I think he does these disappearing acts like he just did, which he's done before, which is new also. You know, it's like he's like, all right, I lit the fire, you know, I did a lot of good, I'm gonna bounce, you know, for a little bit, and then I'll be back, maybe not. So I think that's what's happening.
Can I add a personal story here? You guys mind if I share?
Hey, yeah, go for it.
I've never really expressed this, and I've never really explained it either. And I don't think I really processed it fully until you just said what Kanye does. And I'm not putting myself on his level, so don't get it twisted. I related to something in that like in 2020 when I closed down my mortgage company and I was essentially retired and I have all this wealth and I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. I also had gone through a terrible breakup. One that like I was nearly hospitalized. Like I was in just the worst place emotionally I've been in my life. And I was just thinking to myself, like, how can I start anew? How can I start again? And more importantly, like I have more to give to the world and I don't know how I'm going to motivate myself to do so given the wealth that I have. And so then I sold my house and I sold all of my possessions and I drove across. I literally drove across the country going to speaking events and shit like that. I wasn't even like a speaker because no one knew who the fuck I was at that point. Wow. And I get to Florida and I like start my show and I don't start it, but I start it back up. And I just feel like I relit the flame by destroying my old self. And because of that, I feel like people can sense it in me. And I think that's what makes my show compelling is like, I am fully dedicated to this thing, whatever it is. And I see that in Kanye. He remakes himself, you know, he remakes himself repeatedly. And he's done so in some ways that I loved, in some ways that I didn't really get, some ways that I got, but didn't really appreciate, like the Christian thing, because I'm not Christian. But I just think that like there's, for whatever reason, like he has always been an inspiration to me. And I just think that there is if you're in a place in life where you're discontented, sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to just like sell all your worldly possessions and like go put yourself in a position where you have no choice but to innovate and advance. And I don't know. I just think he's going to do something really special, and I could tell by your piece that you share that feeling, and I hope we're right. And if we're not, we're gonna look like crazy. We're gonna look like crazy people.
Yeah, no, dude, that's a great story. Real quick though, that's a great story, and it just reminds me of like we are in a the real pandemic I keep thinking about is the one of complacency, where people are afraid to take risks, and like you taking that risk is what's up, and a lot of people don't. And it's good for people to hear that story and all these stories. Kanye too. Like, just because we're on different levels doesn't mean the risks. It's all relative, you know. And like, I had a similar, not so much in the breakup and stuff, but like getting a job, you know, money problems in 2020 also. Then the pandemic hits, and I was in New York, so it was hell. Thank God I'm not anymore. But we took some risks, and it worked out. For the most part, you know, and we had two little kids. We had two little kids. They were much younger then, and people need to take risks, whether it's just saying anything that comes to their mind and not worrying about it, not worrying what their friends say and whatnot. But no, it's inspiring to hear that. That's awesome, dude.
Well, dude, same with your path. It's so inspiring that you got to go fucking meet your and I's hero and write a piece about him that's legendary. So it's very cool.
Crazy, hey, I'm on a similar path too, man. From New York, kind of gave up a really good job, took a lot of risk, and I'm here. I'm happy now in Florida, but a question, one thing that I would have loved to pick Kanye's brain about is, and it sounds disrespectful, but when I see people like him, or even like maybe like a Donald Trump, it's like, you've got billions, you've got notoriety, fame, talent, all this stuff. What makes you want more? What makes you think you deserve more? Because when I get what I get from his attitude is that he's like, I deserve this. And I'm not saying that he doesn't, but something in like, I don't, maybe that's not in me, and that's probably a flaw. It's probably why I'll never be Kanye West or something like that. But it just baffles me. Do you pick up on that, where it's like it's almost like an arrogance, like a personality flaw? But then in the Bible, you'll see people like this that kind of always constantly either like they'll rise to the top or have a great fall or something like that. Do you notice that?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's juggling a lot of different personality, like superpowers and flaws all at once. Like the ego is obviously there. Ego's always been there, especially for him. And so he's super competitive. The ego helps. I mean, he's always other people, other artists I don't even know of, you know, like people with like no following sometimes. He's just constantly surfing everything, just looking for inspiration and then wanting to compete against that. Like, for an example of that is like from back in the day, during fantasy time. I think the story is like, he had a friend who wanted to come to his concert, but the girlfriend wanted to go see Bon Iver, Justin Vernon. And he's like, who the heck is that? It was like a little nobody playing guitar. And he went and listened. He was like, okay, well, now I want that person in my music, you know, and making Twisted Fantasy with me. So he just plucked him out of obscurity and then made his career, basically. So he's super competitive, but he's also the ego, the competition. It also is like, how do I make the most beautiful thing? Because I think he's like, I want to prove to people I can make all this stuff and constantly outdo myself, which is obviously debatable. I mean, as a fan, I think he's always outdoing himself. But other people, you can talk to many fans and be like, oh, I gave up after college dropout. I gave up after graduation. Hated Jesus, you know, whatever. But he is constantly pushing it forward by doing this thing where he's balancing ego, competition, and like I just, you know, as Ye deserve to be the best, and I want everyone to know it. But I also think then on the flip side, he's like, I want to make the world better, and I think he truly also believes that. So he's like, all this stuff he's doing and putting himself through is, I believe, an effort to actually bring about a better world. You know, whether it's talking about the way we communicate, whether it's just experiencing art together, music together, whether it's the architecture he's doing, the way he sees people living, or the like pods that I think are hurricane proof. So he's always thinking of all that. And I think it's like, again, I'm just guessing. I think he's in constant conflict of the ego and selflessness, which is like a really wild place to be. But to me, that makes sense for him in terms of like what he does and how he's not afraid to just say the most flagrant shit and lose everything. Because he said, I think this is in an interview with me, I think it is, where he said, I freer outside the Adidas deal than inside of it, right? Like, okay, you know, I think I see what you mean with that. Like, a lot of these deals hold him down and prevent him from being truly who he wants to be, which is like kind of radical, like extremely radical, the most radical. And so not even the biggest deal is going to stop that, even though, unfortunately, at the cost of his own family sometimes. So it's like all of that is just swirling around, I think, in his brain. And sometimes we'll just see the pure ego. Sometimes we'll see pure selflessness, whether it's, the Sunday service choir stuff, which seemed rather selfless to me because like he's really got a voice in it. He's got this band doing all this amazing, or then like the pure ego, which is like kind of like the Drink Champs interview, which I loved. But that's like him in the glasses and the gloves, and he's kind of like doing that whole path, which is more like along the terms in my mind of like the ego. So yeah, I think it's in constant. That's an answer, but that's kind of how I see that with him.
Yeah, it's funny. Sorry, it's funny you mentioned the Adidas deal. I do remember reading that in the article, and it was funny. Like I get what he means. Like to kind of, I guess, to harp on the point that we're getting with the transformation. Like I think it was like a year or two ago. While I was podcasting, I got out of active duty military. I'd done 11 years. Like a lot of people think I'm crazy. I should have finished to get my fucking pension, but I was fucking miserable. I'm an anarchist at heart. And so it was like, for me, it was like a dredge every time. I fucking hated this shit. And I'm still at a point, and I made good money because I was the kind of guy who was like smart, had a good work ethic. So I rose to the ranks fairly quickly. So like I was in a good spot. I was making good money. Obviously I wasn't making like Clint money, but I was making good money for, a guy with, the minimal qualifications I had. I was just a good mechanic, good worker, because I was a mechanic in the military. And like, I was just like, I can't fucking do this. I hate this. Like, it's such a bureaucratic bullshit, especially the higher I got in rank, the more I'm like, this is just bureaucratic nonsense. And I fucking hate it. Like, I loved working my hands. I loved the job, but it was like, and like me being anarchist, like I understood the underpinnings of it. And it's like, also, I find it funny that like Ye understood the, like, I remember reading your articles, like he almost like seems to have a rudimentary understanding of like economics, even without clearly probably ever reading anything about economics. Like, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way. He's like doing.
Well, he said he loves Powernomics. He said he loves Powernomics, so he has read that.
Okay.
Book.
He didn't know who Thomas Sowell was, but
but he didn't know who Thomas Sowell was.
I do remember in your article he was talking about like, once we have our needs on lock, the rest is just essentially just like cush, like almost like extra shit to innovate with. And like, so I kind of almost understand, like for me, I'm still getting by. Like, I'm like, I'm not making way less money. Like, I don't have like extra money like I used to back in the day, but like I'm working on separate revenue streams. I think it'll work out in the long run. We'll fucking see. But like, I have my needs on lock. And that was kind of what Ye was saying. He was like, once you got food, shelter, et cetera, like the rest is just shit to innovate. And he was like, because he was kind of like prescribing what we, at that point, like what, the world kind of needs. He was talking about kind of like a presidency type stuff. And like, I don't know, like obviously when we specific policies, I'll be real, he probably wouldn't be the greatest at that. But like in a vague sense, fucking awesome. Like he seems to be like, understand like, like we need people to be prosperous. That's what we need. And then it allows people to be able to innovate. And like, and by the end of the day, as long as you have your needs unlocked, you're good. Because like I think he did understand with like the Adidas thing. Like I'm sure he understood he had fuck you money, and like I'm gonna be okay. It just might restrict some of my capabilities to some extent. But I completely understand. He's like, I'm far more free without this fucking piece of shit.
Well, he had a guaranteed $500 million coming in for the next 4 years if he just shut the fuck up. And he's like, I can't do that. Do you know how fucking savage that is? To be like, all I have to do is shut up and I can get a $500 million annuity program for 4 years. I just think that's so savage. Like anybody that can't respect that, like, sure, you want to say he's crazy, fine. I don't give a fuck. Like, I respect that. As someone with a good chunk of money, I'm like, yo, I would shut the fuck up for $250 million probably. Or
that's my number.
Yeah, exactly.
It reflects a lot of the habits and choices people made over the last few years of like, take this therapeutic, or you lose your job. A lot of people are just like comfortable with just being like told what to do because the government's their parent and they just feel safe like that. And a lot of other people, not a lot of other people, who knows, but some of us were like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I can't live like that. And I'll like your children. How do you face your family? How do you face yourself? If you make these decisions based on like what's most comfortable. So yeah, with Ye is astronomically out of my world as that is with the half. I respect it, and I'm just like, he once said in Saint Pablo, "I am one with the people," and it's one of my favorite parts of a song with him. And I kept thinking of that line throughout that whole week, where I was like, okay, he's doing crazy shit that's so, out of my realm, but it's still like a lot of people I respect in the Twitter world who just are flagrant, and we just say whatever you want to say, and it's okay. You're gonna be fine. And he's doing it at his scale, which is just like super inspiring.
Yeah, it's unheard of. I mean, think of
Unheard of.
the last person who's a billionaire who really comes out. I mean, they don't do it. They don't do it because why
Yeah.
would they? It's like
he
you got
might
everything.
he might have been inspired a little bit by Elon, even though him
That's
and
true, I
Elon
guess.
aren't so. I don't know now, but that weekend when I was with him, they were not doing well because he had just been kicked off Twitter. And I don't agree with Elon on everything, but Elon was doing some badass shit, And I was like, okay, I see you. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, his
but
acquisition
other than
of
that,
Twitter.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, but other than that, it's like there's no one else I can think of in that stratosphere willing to do stuff like that. Maybe Trump, but not anymore.
Yeah, let's hit some super chats. I had one that came in before the stream and it didn't show up for some reason, so I can't bring the screen. So forgive me for that. I have Caleb Fowler, who shows up to a lot of these streams. $10 super chat. He said, "Ask Mr. Cashman about the corpse that danced in Hell's Kitchen." He said, "I'll be watching working thirds while y'all do the podcast. So I'll check it out in the morning." Appreciate Caleb. Awesome. I see you in the chat all the time, so I appreciate you dropping a super chat.
Shout out to Caleb. I think he connected us. I'm pretty sure Caleb was who commented on Twitter. Yeah. So that's awesome of Caleb for doing that. Okay, The Corpse That Danced in Hell's Kitchen is a story I wrote in a book. The first book I wrote for Tim's website for Tales from the Inverted World. And that's a true crime story about it's like kind of in my town where I grew up in New York. There's a toll booth on a little bridge, and I would go over it late at night. And this old man one day started talking to me. Told me after like maybe one or two talks, and he wouldn't care how long he held me up at the toll booth. He would just be like, there are people honking me at 1 a.m. He telling me the story, and eventually got to like him and his brother in Hell's Kitchen. His brother was murdered by the mob, so he said. So like the corpse that danced in Hell's Kitchen is the story about his brother, how he got murdered, and it was for the most part told to me while sitting at a toll booth multiple times. But that's on YouTube, actually. If you search the Tales from the Inverted World YouTube page, it's up there. I think it's a two-parter.
Interesting. All right, I have a super chat. $2 one from Watson. Excited to see Tim, Cass, and Tara getting together. Yeah, I think it should be fun. I was a little bit, like I said, with the whole Tim Pool thing, because I don't know about these two guys, but I know me and some of the guys kind of had a different view. But like I said, with the litmus test thing, I saw Tim in a different light. I'm like, okay, all right, he passed the litmus test. I mean, he was late on it, but he passed it. So I'm like, okay, so this could be interesting. I think I think there's a golden opportunity for people of our ilk. I think Shane's kind of weirdly, we found him. He's almost like a kindred spirit I've seen. So it'll be interesting to see this group meet up. See how this works out. It'll be an interesting mishmash.
It was interesting to see your episode with Eliza Blue and Tim and Luke. I expected it from Luke, but Tim giving Eliza like some stern pushback in the direction that I would have, because when it's hard to really battle like that kind of emotion that she's bringing with like logic. Like you have to be like, hold on a second, and stick to it throughout the whole episode. So man, kudos to him. I was not expecting.
That was a tough episode, man.
I only saw the first 20 minutes of it. Can you guys give? I'm sure some of the audience haven't seen it either. What happened?
It became. I mean, Shane was on the episode. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. It's. I think the first 20 minutes are probably a lot of reading statements from alleged survivors of Tate, and then a statement of support from a Maxwell Epstein survivor, and then we just kind of went into like kind of the idea of like believing survivors. How do you move with skepticism? I remember asking her not only if she trusts the justice system regardless, but my problem with a lot of this stuff is how Me Too oversaturated accusations, and it's like now I hate that I even lead with skepticism, because it's a terrible thing to constantly think of like everything being fake, because I think Liza's a good person and I want to believe her, but like I'm also like I'm at this horrible dated place where it's like, especially after the last few years, but where it's like I've been proved, right by being skeptical of things initially, where it's like I'm juggling that all the time. So we talked about that. There was a lot of like pushback, but it was pushback, but like it was more. It felt in the room. It felt more like a conversation. People kept saying like in the chat, like it was pushback, but there was no animosity. Like at the end of that episode, we all felt like really good. Everyone I think shared their opinions, but Eliza, kept talking about how she, as an advocate, believes the women who say they're survivors, and then I think it was me who asked like, do you ever walk into situations where you're meeting a survivor with any amount of skepticism? I don't remember what the answer was to that, but I think it was kind of like going back and forth with that. Well, we also talked about Elon and what she did with Elon, child porn stuff, like that.
Yeah, she gave like almost. I love Eliza, like that's our friend, but she did give like lawyer answers, and I was like, man, I just wish if you're gonna come with that kind of energy, like implicating someone, and it's easy to do that to Andrew Tate because he comes off as a brass piece of shit, but so do I, and I kind of like, I kind of have a little bit of sympathy towards this, like, well, what's actually going on? I just wish she would have been able to tell us, like, I don't know, yes, these women were underage or some, like, give us something substantive. Whereas to me, what it seems like from what I know of the guy, it's just, I don't know. It seems like he said, hey, do you want to do this e-girl stuff? And they said, yeah. And then he was their pimp and they didn't like the deal or whatever it was. But I don't know.
The way I see him, he's like a Nigerian prince pimp, where he's pimping these women. He's also banging them, and he's also like tricking the Johns into just sending money for like not fucking them, which is like pretty scummy. But that's where the Nigerian prince part comes in. But I just want to say, I don't think Andrew Tate did anything wrong. Let's just clip that and put that out for everybody.
He did everything right. R. Kelly is innocent. Bill Cosby is innocent. Michael Jackson is innocent. Clip that. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you guys.
I will say, I think one key piece a lot of people are missing is like, I think you need to understand what a victim advocate is. I think a lot of people don't understand what a victim advocate is. And I think this is actually to some extent a root cause of all problems. I'm not even sure what the proper fix or if there is any, or maybe the role should change. But like I mentioned, I was 11 years active duty military. I can't tell you how many don't rate people fucking briefings have gone. So I've been told what a victim advocate is a fucking million times. The role of a victim advocate is literally someone that, people who are, alleged victims of some, specifically usually a sexual crime of some sort, come to, and it's essentially supposed to be someone who's a friend who guides them. It's an ally. That's their role to fill. Their role is to believe them, to be their friend. So like, you have to understand that's the role that Eliza is filling. So like,
and my role is to say that Andrew Tate did nothing wrong.
Yeah. So it comes off as a little like almost scummy when you hear some of her answers. And you also got to add in a lawyery thing, because she will be like, well, I believe them. I believe them. I believe them. And it's like, it's almost like, well, do you really? Or is it because you're like, this is your role? Like she can't say otherwise.
I mean, like half of them seem like they're full of shit.
The worst part about that whole thing is that like they spoke about Andrew Tate, and then she got, she's the survivor advocate, but what she's doing for children, and I mean the other guy, Michael Tracy, that kind of like ran through her path. Who cares? I don't give a fuck what you did before. What you're doing for children now on Twitter is the most commendable thing that I can think. I got 2 kids too, right? So like, what she has done, she could shit on my head right now, and I'd be like, hey man, keep doing what you're doing because it's beautiful.
So I think Eliza actually
Jose would pay for that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm not gonna lie. She's a fucking thick queen, and I'm about it. She knows it. But fucking, I actually think where she fucked up in some of her social media stuff is like when because there was one point where people pushing back, and she tried to give receipts, and I think everyone here would probably agree the receipts weren't really receipts. They were just kind of like, well, so and so can back me up. This random person no one really knows, and I'm not saying this is shit on Lies at all. I actually think she should have gone one extreme or the other. She should have just been like, my story doesn't matter. I'm not like, I'm here to be advocates for blah, 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 whatever. and not do, because like when you do these like half-ass receipts or go deep as fuck, post everything, be like, here is the God, like there's no fucking way you can dispute this. It's one extreme or the other. I don't think this halfway thing, I think she fucked up there a little bit. So like, and I'm not even trying to dispute that, because I do think you are right, Top, in the point of like yeah, like her story, whether her story of being a victim or whatever, is kind of beside the point. Like what she's doing now is what matters, because people, it's almost like people are trying to like credential her essentially. Like she could be making up all the bullshit about whatever, you know, shit happened to her. And it's like, okay, all right, like, but what is she doing now? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like,
did she get that child porn removed? Yes.
Right, exactly. Jose made a good point. Like I wish in retrospect, like we could define her role better, right? Because I think I saw a lot of people afterwards being like, oh, she's a lawyer. I'm like, oh no. That's not what she is. Like, she's an advocate, and like maybe if we did that, but still, people would still come with skepticism. But it would at least, you know, show people like this is kind of what she does. I don't know if it would help. But then again, with what you're saying about like showing all like the receipts, I don't even think that shit matters anymore. So I'll just be like, just fuck them, right? Because people, we can all of us could look at one video now, and half of us could disagree on the contents of the video right before our very eyes. So like, unfortunately, receipts don't even matter. So I would just like screw these people, because what Top's saying is the truth. What she's done with Twitter and Elon child porn that's above all. And like, I don't care. And like, I'm working with her. I might write a story on her and like maybe a better understanding of her and her life. And like, that's interesting to me. But like, as someone who also is a father, like the stuff that I've been seeing on Twitter over the last 10 years is insane that it's been happening. And I really have not seen a lot of people talk about it other than Eliza. So, you know, to me, like, and I wish also in retrospect, we talked about that more on the show as well, because we kind of went in circles a bit about like how we all feel about believing people and all this stuff. But, you know, to me, the important stuff is like child porn shit has got to go.
By the way, I want to say,
people about it.
I thought you broke up. I thought you had finished your point. I do want to say the only thing I would give really Eliza shit for in that all is I did find it kind of frustrating when she would kind of scoff at the idea of people being like getting mad about like or like the disparity between like an Epstein type and Tate, and then kind of be like, she would always kind of be like, well, what does Tate really even say that's revolutionary? Tate is like kind of this weird like mix between like, I don't know, Luke Rudkowski and fucking Jordan Peterson, but with some manosphere bullshit mix in there. Like, and it's like, that is such a like nexus of like where energy is needed. So I can see why it popped off. Like, don't get me wrong. I think with a lot of the manosphere bullshit that you see sometimes, there's a lot of dumb, toxic bullshit in there, but there is something there where men need men shit. And that's like kind of like, there's something to the Jordan Peterson stuff, which is also, I guess, in a certain way, the manosphere stuff, but there's also like the manosphere, which is like a different thing when like in the Twitter world and stuff. So like, and like, that's where usually a lot of the, I guess I hate saying toxic because it just sounds gay as fuck, but you guys know what I mean? There's some like dumb shit where people will be like, yeah, fucking women are dumb as fuck and you should treat them like shit. Like, and like, yeah, we might joke about it in the show, but it's like, okay, I don't know. You should like love your wife and treat people nicely. I don't know.
My statement
How
about
dare
Eliza,
you?
my statement saying yeah, this is what Eliza was saying, but what she's doing here is way more important. I think I'll apply that to Andrew Tate as well. I don't know if he raped these girls or whatever it is. I'm putting that aside. What he's doing for young men is very important. And where Eliza was wrong is saying, well, he's not saying anything revolutionary. Yeah, neither was Jordan Peterson. Neither is anybody. This is all stuff that's kind of like, these are all archetypes that are like just rehashed from the Bible or stories before that. And he's just reintroducing them in a different way. And it's important. So I'm looking at what they're doing rather than who they're being characterized as, which is just another big distraction.
By the way, I'm not saying at all that like Andrew Tate is like next level political philosophy, like a lot of like, you know, because I like to talk about political theory a lot on my show, and like I don't even think he's on like the level of me, and that's not even to say I'm amazing. I don't think I'm really that like anything crazy. I just like he just kind of touches on that a little bit and kind of like delves in a little bit. And it's like, yeah, fucking government's gay, and sometimes, but like he's more like, be a man, fucking government sucks, fucking work out, like, you know, like shit like that. And I think like as simple as that shit is, like simplicity, there's something to that, and it's echoing for some reason. I mean, I don't know. It could be all fed up. I don't know. I mean, I've dug
Dude,
down
his-
the rabbit holes. A lot of people have. I mean,
Mhm.
anything. I think I wouldn't be surprised if I found next year Clint's a Fed. But like, I like Clint, so whatever. For the meantime, we're gonna be homies.
that was in my past. Can't we just fucking move on and let it go? No,
The
I
breakup was with the Fed.
Oh man, where's my tinfoil hat?
That's great. That's great. But I will say this: like the delivery is what makes it special. The way that Jordan Peterson conveys his message, the way that Andrew Tate conveys his message is fucking special. And you're just lying to yourself to say otherwise. The way they talk is riveting. It's compelling. You can't look away. That's how, I mean, there's a reason that they get tens of millions of fucking views on basically every little 30-second clip you put out. And those people matter. And when their message is not terrible, I'm going to I'm going to want evidence that this is a deeply flawed human being that should be torn down, because particularly if you are giving a message that is anti-government, my spidey sense is going to be activated that if anybody comes for you, why? I'm going to ask it. I'm not going to assume that like you're telling the truth or that Andrew Tate's a saint. I don't think he's a saint. I think he's probably at least was a bad guy. But his messaging, particularly during COVID, was powerful as fuck. He's like, you got to have money to be above the government. And then after that, you have to be even freer than that. He's like, you have to have passports. You have to be able to duck and dodge the government. I was like, this guy's saying something. Like, that's something that very few people can talk to, because very few people have that kind of money. And once they do, very few of them are willing to talk like that. So I don't know. I don't even know what I have to say about this other than to say, like, you got to have real evidence that these people are fucking scum of the earth.
And his thing was
before
too,
you tear
like,
them down.
even if you don't have the resources, if you aren't rich, whatever, then you need to fucking get your shit together and start fucking doing something with your life. You're just fucking working out. You start talking to women. You can make something yourself, and you fucking, I don't know, get some confidence. Start fucking walking with your fucking chest up. Like, these are like simple things that a lot of men just don't get from male role models that are important things that are like, it's just like it's masculinity incarnate. And don't get me wrong, there's like definitely some negative shit that comes in there. Like, I've seen some clips. I don't know, maybe they're out of context. I don't fucking know. That's like, all right, man, all right, you're pushing a little bit, dog. Like, all right, let's go crazy. Like, you shouldn't be just choking bitches and shit. Like, come on. But like, there's something to like his.
You
message.
did that for years.
She asked for it, all right?
They asked for it too.
He brings a dangerous aspect to masculinity, and that makes like, I guess, females and people on the less masculine side that are men feel uncomfortable, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and
it's almost like
it's necessary.
Good.
It's almost like the masculinity he's trying to teach men is the answer Eliza's for on IRL when she asks what men could be doing. In terms of like stepping up and like being like an actual man.
Dude, that's
and taking
profound.
control of the situation. But like, I wish I thought of it then. But that is how I feel. Like, I don't really know Tate that well. I've seen a few clips here and there. I'm not really like into him or into him. Like, okay, but I'm interested because he does speak really well. He's got a good cadence, and it's fascinating. But what I have seen is like stuff like that, where he's just man, who isn't controversial. There are things out there that I've seen him say that might be out of context, that might sound controversial. But then I've also seen clips of him admitting that some of the things he said has been said just to piss people off, which is kind of like the Ye thing. So again, I don't know what to believe. And I think I said on IRL to Eliza, where I was like, what do I need to believe this? I was like, well, I just need transparency here as much as possible. Because right now I'm just finding out about this. I'm a father. I'm an older brother to two sisters. I want to like be there for the women and do my best and protect, but I can't just have knee-jerk reactions anymore, because we're in a world where like we've watched people lose their minds over dumb shit. See Smollett, Covington, Vax, everything. So we're fucking jaded, and I just need a little more transparency to go fight this fight.
Dude, your next piece for IRL has to be Tate. That'd be so fucking sick. If you follow up Eliza with Tate, that'd be so cool.
There could also be something to in your Ye article where he said something like British kids can sound smarter than Jordan Peterson. Not Jordan Peterson's not that smart anyway. Hilarious, but there could be something to like his accent, Tate's accent, and like just the trance that he has on people. I don't know.
Yes, that's hilarious. That was hilarious when he said that. It's funny because I remember him liking Jordan Peterson, and then he turned on him hard. I think he just turned on anyone associated with Daily Wire.
Me too.
Understandably. Yeah.
To be fair, I turned on
see
him
the
hard,
name?
too.
See that name right there, TopLobsta? That I
Yep.
named myself years ago TopLobsta as like a funny screen name because of Jordan Peterson. Yeah,
Right.
it was about the dopamine and standing up straight with your shoulders back and all that. He
Yep.
lost me with the Kavanaugh stuff. Strike one.
Oh, he's sucking Netanyahu's
shots.
dick.
Vaccine.
The
strike
shots. Yeah,
The shots.
the internet troll.
Netanyahu. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things. He's almost dead to me. There's still a soft spot in my heart for him, but like I do go
Yes.
after him because
And
he's
who's
one of those
dressing
people.
him? The fucking
What was that?
clown suits he's wearing? Who's dressing him?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like the Riddler.
Dude, you see
Like,
Crip Daddy's
who the
one where he's
fuck?
like, what did he say? He's like, he tells all these boys to clean their room so he can take their clothes.
I think his fucking suits are fly. They're like he's like a black pimp in the
That's awesome.
70s.
God.
Okay, no, I see it. I see that. If I saw it on like Soul Train dancing, I might feel
Right.
differently. But when I'm seeing him talking about Exodus, I'm like, who does this fucking guy think he is now? But yeah, I love them too. I love them too. But like, he came back from his whole everything he went through, understandably like shaken and different, and I get it. But I feel like he caricatured himself now. I'm just not plugged in to what he's doing at all anymore, which is a bummer because he was awesome. But it's sad to me.
I feel the same way I do about Trump. Like he lost the pulse of the nation.
It's
You
like
know,
after he had COVID, he went into they go into these hospitals. Like he went into the hospital for benzos. He went into the hospital for COVID. He comes out and he's different. Ye goes in
They
the
cloned him.
hospital. They cloned him. Oh, there we go. We're on the. It's possible, but Ye comes out and he's like a beast still. So
Right.
he's just built different.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think Ye just is, he's built different. And when Trump came back, it was not the Trump that I remember. So I think losing Twitter really did have him lose the pulse of the nation. Because like I don't know if he's even sitting on Twitter anymore on some burner account. He's probably
Was
just
that
on
you?
Truth.
Did you say that he's on Truth so much he's in his own echo chamber? I heard that somewhere recently.
No, that's good though. I like that.
I think I said
but
it.
that's
Was it?
true.
Oh, okay, it was
That's
yeah.
good.
One of
That's
you
good.
guys
No,
is
it's
constantly
true.
one of my
It's
ears.
true.
All right, let's hit up some more super chats. I have Drywall O with $2 says, yo.
Profound.
Yo, back.
Yeah, he just drops in with random, just says like poop, and we'll drop like 20, 30. I think he dropped 100 one time. Just
Forrest, mommy,
whatever.
send me
I'm here
nudes.
for it. $10 for Jose being badonk lover. Yes, I'm about that thick bitch life. I'm here for it. My wife's got a big old booty, and I love it.
And bring back Forrest Mommy's account. She got fucking nuked
Yeah.
today. I don't know why.
All right,
Oh,
yeah, just go
damn.
around the horn, and I want to hear three words or less. Your ideal body type. I'm just gonna go ahead and answer for Clinton's heroin chic. All right, top, and then Shane.
A big booty Latina.
Hell yeah.
AOC, hit me up.
Grace Kelly, old movie star. Just for whatever reason, I had a poster of her in my room forever, and she's just like an actual star to me.
I respect that.
Wow.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I like the old school Hollywood.
Let me see if I got any more.
Jose wants a diabetic bitch. That's all he wants. That's all he cares
Yeah.
about.
Hell yeah, dude. Fucking.
is-
Do you really want one bitch for life, dude? Fucking let him die off young. Get a big booty for the time being. $10 from Arabian Pleb, my people. I appreciate it, man. I see you hopping here occasionally. Let me see if I got any more. I think that
He's
might
the one
be
that sent me the cowboy hat.
Oh, the next one is very good. Yeah, let's get into that.
Oh, what's that one? Shane, what do you think about Tony Merkel's Nephilim staff portal idea? I'm like vaguely familiar with Tony Merkel. I listen to Sam Tripoli a lot. I'm not sure I remember this one. Maybe Top or Shane will know. I'm sure.
I
you
don't
guys
know. I don't know this theory, but Tony Merkel is the dude that did a documentary on Dogman. He has like a really big conspiracy. It's called The Confessionals. It's sort of a conspiracy show. He has people come on and just talk about their paranormal things that have happened to them. Great show.
Yeah, Tony Merkel's a homie. I've had Tony on my the members only podcast I was doing last winter for Tim. That's how we met, and I think I'm actually going to be on his show next month. But I don't know about the portal idea, but him and I have talked about something that I wrote about, and I think he's going to be doing something with too. The what do they call it? The mystery schools, where I once spoke to a lady who witnessed like a dogman beast walk through a portal, so she said, somewhere in the woods at a mystery school. So I don't know if that's what that is, because that's different with the Nephilim stuff. But everything Tony does is awesome. The Confess is really a great show, and he's making movies now. I think he's working on a new one right now.
Nice. I think the portal thing is that he was. Where was he at that ranch?
He was Skinwalker Ranch, like right near it.
Yeah. They had mentioned
Every
something
single-
about portals, like they're kind of like going through interdimensional portals, like Bigfoot. A lot of people think Bigfoot's interdimensional, things like that. So possibly what he's talking about.
Possible. I think there's folds to this reality for sure, and I think there's obviously portals. Maybe drugs get you there. Maybe you just trip through one by accident in the woods. I think the woods are like weird, powerful, mysterious places, and certain locations are obviously powerful. And I don't know why, but the whole interdimensional idea is interesting to me. And yeah, he's doing really interesting stuff with all that. So everyone should check out Tony's stuff for sure.
Are you a fan of Stephen King? I mean, not now, but like his work
as a human being or as his work? Yeah. I love his work. When I was starting out writing, he wrote I read a book of his called On Writing, which is like a great book for people who care about writing better. But yeah, I love a lot of his novels. Some of them are just like whatever to me, but I do like him. He really has become talking about caricatures. Like he is a caricature now. It's almost embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's like almost like AI is writing his Twitter. Like just someone's plugging in dumb shit Stephen King would think now in the post-Trump world into AI, and it's barfing out that bullshit. But I mean, he revolutionized horror novel. So to me, that's amazing. I love that stuff.
I think his Twitter is his newest horror novel. It's just, but I brought him up because I think I brought it up before to you guys. But he talks about in a bunch of his books, but mainly like the Dark Tower series and that like the streamline of that series. He talks about thinnies and that's basically like a portal. So he was on this stuff since like 1980, and I have a feeling that he like I don't know. I wonder what happens to these kind of people, because like he must know something and then just completely loses his way.
Dude,
and
it's real straightforward. He was a cokehead and an alcoholic, and that's what you need to be creative. And if you expect to write anything worth writing, you have to do cocaine and you have to stay up all night. By the way, I have this theory, because I have always had this phenomenon, because I've been a night owl forever. If I stay up a day, my creativity goes through the fucking roof. Is that a real thing, or do I just am I like crazy so I feel like I'm genius?
Do you have? Yeah, no, my feeling, I feel that way too. Is that it's perhaps your like self-criticism is like loosened up if you're that tired, almost like doing coke, not coke because you would be feeling different, but it hits some part of you where you're not being as critical, and you also feel like an exposed nerve to everything when you're that tired. Yeah. So I like being in that place because I don't really.
I'm telling you, mix weed and Adderall, you will be the best writer ever. I'm not even kidding. Like, that's a sweet spot right there.
That's the reason why Christians fast, though. I mean, they'll do it with food, but I think the main reasoning to do it is to kind of deprive yourself of like certain things, and you do have that like lucid mindset where they're trying to talk to God or whatever they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. So it's something similar to that.
I did a 2-week
Have you
water
ever seen
fast.
those are crazy too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a
2-week water fast, and like your sensitivity, it's a very similar vibe to having stayed up all night, if that makes any sense, but it really is.
Sure. Have you ever seen the statue starving Buddha? It's Buddha, but when Buddha was starved himself, and it's a very moving statue. But I think there's something to all that fasting, and if you want to focus, I notice in myself, like I don't fuck with drugs anymore. I had a good 10 years of that, but for now, it's like I just need to find time to like actually focus, which is really hard with all the distortion of the modern world, my phone and internet. So we don't own a TV. We've never owned a TV. I write on a computer that has no internet access. The Wi-Fi was actually fried the week I bought it by accident, and I never fixed it. So I'm borrowing my wife's computer to do this because I'm borderline Amish. I'm almost there. I want to, at some point, next time we podcast, it might have to be with a cup and a string. I'm increasingly becoming sick of technology. As it is, this is amazing that we can do this, but I get easily distracted. And I'm always trying to find ways to get out of that.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to transition to your concept of simulation theory, because I read it you talking about in your Yay article. There was so much in the Yay article, like I can't emphasize this enough. But I heard you talk about it elsewhere too, and it was just like I don't know if it's just me overlaying my own understanding of things, because I'm not like, I like digging the conspiracies, but I don't generally buy hook, line, and sinker. So I don't go like super kooky. A lot of people think I'm super kooky with it, but like I just like to entertain ideas, and I won't like I'm fully capable of entertaining, like, I don't know, Nephilim or all sorts of dogman crazy shit. And for me, I'll be like, okay, maybe it's a possibility, but I won't be like, oh, I'm fucking sold. Like I'm not like a retard like that. I don't know. Maybe there's some people are. I mean, maybe if I dug more, I don't fucking know. That's just my take. I enjoy that. It's like
maybe there's retards like that. What the fuck?
It's
He's
just
on the stream with you right now. Me.
It's a brain teaser for me, if anything. Like I enjoy these type of things because they're like almost creativity for like in a certain sense. Like where I'm like entertaining the possibilities of like, well, how could I understand that to be possibly a reality? But when I heard you explain your simulation theory, you were saying it was almost like, and I'll obviously you'll be able to explain your concept of it in a minute, but like I just want to like kind of explain my like how I conceptualized it when I heard you explain it. You were kind of saying that you have like God's law, and then you have almost like these people, entities, what have you, that kind of, or God's reality, and then almost they overlaid their own reality on top of it that's kind of distorted. And for me, I don't know if it's just because like I come from this like anarchist and and like capitalist fucking like economic type of understanding, but I heard that and I just heard like natural law or the way things should be, and then I saw like distortions laid on top of it, incentives reversed in the way they shouldn't be, coercion, what have you. And so for me, I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can explain that without having to go to like kooky places, but it's kind of fun to explain in this like simulation type way. But I guess like I don't know if maybe like if that in any way resonated with you what I just said, because like I know Clint and Top probably get what I'm setting down, like because it is like distortions happen, like that's part of like if you understand economics and like, you know, well, if this does this, if I coerce you to do this, this completely fucks up the whole thing's way, or the whole way things are supposed to be. I don't know what I'm all tongue tied today, but like you guys get what I'm setting down. Like it just, it completely fucks things up. Like it's like in a true free market, this would likely operate this way. But if you have this one person with a fucking gun say do this instead, it sets forth a chain of events that change things. And it's like, I can almost understand that being in a weird way, sort of a simulation theory of like, these things are affecting this, and obviously it doesn't necessarily have to be just government, but you're kind of making out like there are these bad actors out in the world that are kind of distorting the way reality should be, if you will.
That's it. Yeah, I think we, there's a lot of us living in a simulated reality, and I like I say, like in the story, I don't mean in the zeros and ones computer game, Nick Bostrom, Elon Musk simulation. I mean that, base reality. In simulation theory, it means, for those who don't know, like the original reality, right? And then in simulation theory, as Nick Bostrom wrote it, he believed that in that original reality, if you can look at how video games have advanced in our ways, we know that in the past 50 years, they've developed so crazy. So it's not hard to believe that in 100 years, maybe they could make a video game that's so realistic that we won't know the difference between reality and that. And then, keep going forward in the future. And then at some point, someone's replicated what was original reality in a simulation. And now we don't know if we're that or that, to me, like doesn't resonate so much, but that's kind of where I'm stealing from and saying like, I believe we are actually in base reality, God's reality, original reality, whatever you want to call it. But places like institutions, universities, governments, the corporate media, they have overlaid on top of base reality this distorted reality, the simulated reality with any number of bullshit things, right? Like, I mean, I was talking about Jussie Smollett. That's like one little like piece of a false reality where you can watch people in real reality react to something that's clearly fake, but it becomes their reality, and now we're fighting that reality constantly. the vaccines, COVID, Trump, you name it, good people on both sides. Those are threats from simulation. And the simulation, as I see it, that's something that's put upon our reality, is created by these institutions, and it finds nourishment in our suffering, whether that's in taxes, whether that's in dividing us, whether that's in making you find no meaning in your life, whether that's sacrificing your kids in all the ways we're sacrificing children these days. So that's how I see it. And I believe like we need to destroy the stimulation and return to a place of like, just like the natural world where things kind of make sense, because everything's so absurd now. And to me, I think they feel absurd because we are up against this like insane distortion of like constantly being like, that's fake, this is fake, that's fake. How are people believing this? Like how are people getting mad at me so much that like they won't come to Thanksgiving dinner because of something I said that I know is real, right? But they believe the false reality. So that's kind of how I feel about the simulation. And it's like we're in a reality where all these people who believe all those false stories are kind of wearing the headsets, and we're just trying to chip away at them, hopefully.
I think that's definitely real. Just quick follow-up question. Do you think that the people that are responsible for setting up that simulation, like I immediately think of, the biggest banking families or the people that own media companies, that are they in base reality, or are they also part of the matrix?
Who is they, Clint?
Who is they? We can't say who's they. I'm walking out. Yeah, I'm out. That's good. I haven't thought of that. I would say that they probably are in base reality. I do have an answer for that. I believe they are in base reality, and they're creating the simulation to distract us so they can own base reality. I think they want base reality for themselves because they find nourishment in it. All of the resources they can get from it. We're a resource to the simulation. The simulation wants us to suffer so it can keep going and going and going. In my mind, I see it constantly expanding, back, even thinking of like how taxes started. Like the simulation's always been trying to destroy us. War, taxes, human sacrifice. There's been a lot of that recently and throughout the ages. So it's I think the people in control, they might not all be working together. Like maybe some of them are, but they're all competing for control of base reality.
I think I'd bring it back to like a libertarian kind of standpoint. First off, to preface this, I do believe that this is possibly a simulation down to the ones and zeros, and I can prove it mathematically, but that's a different conversation.
Oh shit!
This is what the the overlay that come to Tim's house on Tuesday. The overlay that you're talking about, I think, is the Federal Reserve. I'm about to hand this off to Clint, but like to me, when you kind of look at like the insanity, if you had like a graph of insanity and how it increases, it would coincide exactly with how much money we have, fake money we have printed and put out there. Like you're talking about Jesse Smollett or the COVID narrative, or even the very fine people thing. These are all like media operations that are funded by fake money that are not even stolen from. It's like, who even knows where this shit is coming
Operation Mockingbird, dog.
Yeah. But there has to be ones and zeros, like actual dollars behind this, and it's just fake shit. No one is paying for this stuff. They started stealing. Yeah, sure, they'll steal a little bit with taxes, but I think they quickly realized like we can't just keep stealing from taxes. They're printing money out of control. They're doing a multi-billion-dollar propaganda campaign, a global propaganda campaign. And as we continue to print money and the money, money supply goes up, insanity goes up as well. I feel like people understand this, but they don't understand how to express it.
By the way, I do want to real quick say, if you believe Operation Mockingbird actually fucking ended in like a real sense, like stop it happening, like they didn't infiltrate that fucking entity, then you're either naive, retarded, or a liar. Like those are the only options in my head.
All three.
Like it's like the idea that they're like, well, we found out that and they just stopped. They don't do it anymore.
Apply that, and everyone should apply that same thought to MK Ultra. Like literally everything. If you think they stopped all these programs, like if they just stopped making atom bombs and they don't make any other crazy weapons after that, you're insane. Clearly, I think we are under like a mass hypnosis right now, which is probably like an end result of what was MK Ultra. right?
Mhm.
I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind of that.
Yeah,
they
me too.
stopped MK Ultra because they figured out how to do it. If they actually did stop it.
Well, I think another thing is like you're never going to see an NBC leaks because like they don't have to inform them of what to say. They are owned by them. Like it's just like that's what they are. Whereas they don't actually own Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So like they have to send messages from the CDC or whatever. But I wanted to add to what Top was saying. I think it's actually correlation causation inverted there. I think that the reason that you turn on the money printer full speed is when empire is dying. So you don't have a choice. So it's actually like the reason it's happening is because everyone's going insane because the empire is dying and you have all sorts of dysfunction and tumult and malinvestment. And then as you increase the money supply during that period, it creates even more escalating malinvestment, which ultimately disenfranchises 99% of the people, and it causes social upheaval and things like that. So I don't think it's like necessarily the chart of the money, but like the craziness chart is going and then the money's following it to try and keep the system alive, but the system's dying. It doesn't matter because there's still math involved. If you want to get into simulation theory with money, there's still math involved. Like you will meet a limit point at which collapse is inevitable, and we're nearing it. So I think people sense that they're fucking scrambling. Many people are just piling drugs into their system because
it's rat utopia, right?
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of people just they can't face it, and I don't blame them. You know, I don't blame people that just go down the fucking oxy route.
Dude, I want to add real quick to the Operation Mockingbird point we made. And I know this is a little bit anecdotal, but I just thought this is really interesting. This is I know a lot of people know me for the OKC stuff, so this is like OKC thing right here. I'll just go ahead and let you know. But like I might not remember specifically. It was one of the major networks that this is like documented. You'd have to go back and watch some OKC episodes. Richard Booth, my guest for that, broke it down greatly or really well. There was at one point some Fed, I can't remember the specifics. I guess I'm a fucking retard. Richard Booth is not. He's one with all the receipts. Go check out that series. But he legit came to one of the major networks with fucking footage of the OKC bombing with supposedly showed the other fucking like the John Doe. And instead of actually taking that information and running with it like you think an honest media would, what they did is they fucking let the feds fucking know and didn't air it and didn't agree to fucking do it. I think he did like actually ask for money from the major network, something like $500,000 or $1 million or some shit. But it's still like if you were an honest media and you had these kind of resources, this would be the story of the fucking century, and you would pay that fucking $1 million and you would put that fucking story up and you would fucking raise the fucking Fed to the ground with like, look what they fucking did. Look what they hid from you. At the very least, it was a cover up. It's undeniable in my opinion, especially once you look into it. It was a cover up at the very least. I'm convinced that they likely had a hand in it as well, but it was at the very least a cover up.
This is why I stressed to Ye about like if he were to do more interviews and happen to talk about Tuskegee, let's like elaborate. Like let's let you have biggest voice. Let's show everybody like really what that means. Because sometimes it'll just be like Tuskegee and like we might know what that is. But there's a lot of people listening and be like, I don't know what that is. I know it's a word, you know, what is that? If he really breaks that down and we start to show people how much they need to detest this government, all governments, like then we're on a winning path. You know, it's like the word kidnapping. I mean, we could just go on and on and on about these false realities that they keep making. Operation Northwoods, all these things where it's like, bro, people hate you. They hate all of us, and they only care about power and greed. And they've done horrible things to our own citizens constantly. And it didn't end.
I got to take
I'd love to
second.
see him expand.
I got to take a second to critique the people he's surrounding himself with. And
I was just going to bring that up.
Yep. Okay, good. Well, I respect their minds. Let me start by saying that I think that ultimately they're going to lead him down a statist path, and I think that in many ways the reason, you know, I'm sure everyone feels this way, but I feel like if I had a 2-hour sit down with Kanye, I could definitely open his eyes to some of these things, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think that because he really is functioning on a higher vibration than a statist is. And while I think that he may share kind of the end goal that someone like Fuentes wants to see. I don't think that I don't think it'll be successful. I don't think that you can enforce by the state Christian values and have that be sustainable. I think it has to be an organic, cultural, revivalist type of thing. That's something that Kanye can do. Like that's something that he can really contribute to. And if he goes down the status route of like, we are going to enforce Christian values upon this very non-Christian nation at this point, he's going to burn up in the atmosphere. And I wish that I could like reach into his heart and express that, because I really feel like they're going to take him down the bad path.
Yeah, I think Kanye.
So I was just real quick, and I expressed to him my concerns with that too. I think it might be in the second part where I'm like, if you create a world like that or a country like that, you know, young Ye wouldn't exist, right? Like you couldn't. Who defines what's offensive? You know, even trends and tastes within Christianity or whatever will change. So I don't understand, like, if you enforce certain things like this, you will be destroying the things you've built the best. And that concerns me. I'm all about free expression and art, and I would see that suffering under certain of the policies that he talks about with me and elsewhere.
I do want to add to that, because I saw in your article, you legit are like, I think he could be president. Now, I do think he has the capability in a way a lot of people are underplaying of major transformational power for the political, political, cultural, whatever, what have you, fucking game set or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, he has major transformational power. I think it is a borderline impossibility they would ever end up in the White House. I think he would get JFK'd before that would ever happen. Personally, maybe he could win the election. I think it's a long shot, but he would get fucking killed. Like,
that's what they said about Trump.
Yeah, Trump.
Exactly.
I just feel like it's a different beast. I just feel like he is going farther than Trump, and so for me, when I hear these like policy things, I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, who gives a fuck about that gay shit? Like, his energy is what I'm focused on. But like, yes, I get it. If you're worried about him actually being president, you could be concerned about policies. I'm not. And I will say I 100% agree when it comes to policies, because a lot of the shit he's saying is like, we want to kind of like, it's almost like we want to like centralize under a federal power and be like, this is what you got to do. And it's like, like, man, that might not be the way to go. Like, I'm all for like, if fucking, I don't know, Virginia wants to have a fucking Christian national state, fucking go for it. I don't give a shit. Even if you want to consider it like technically under the purview of the United States of America and not even have a secession, but it's like a federalism type system and they can do what they want, I don't give a fuck. Like, I probably wouldn't live there, but like now the idea of that we need to have a federal government that institutes this entirely, no, that's where you lost me. Because like, I'm a big fan of like decentralization. I'm an anarchist. Like, so ultimately, like, I do want to break down these pieces to the smallest pieces possible down to the individual.
And that is definitely not what he wants now. At least it's not what the people surrounding him want. So I think he does want what they want. I think, and I don't think he wants it just because the people around him want it. I think he truly does want that like kind of bigger federalized power, which I don't want. I also do believe he could become president, as insane as that sounds, because the world is completely insane. And not just because Donald Trump has proven this weird outsider could become president, but that is obviously inspiration for Kanye. But he's got something like that I think a lot of people might be interested in terms of the energy. And, after the Trump campaign speech he gave a month or two ago, that was boring as hell. DeSantis does nothing for me. I liked he did a lot of things in COVID. Like, I'll give him that. But there's certain things I'm just not. And the people he surrounds himself with, I don't like. Like, I think the Lincoln Project, not he surrounds himself with Lincoln Project, but they endorse him. And I'm like, so when I see someone like Kanye, I'm just like, fuck it. But I don't like the status shit. And I don't think you can enforce these Christian values. As much as I might agree with some of them, I'm just like, it's not going to work. You're going to lose a lot of support. So I also think he's maybe if it goes further, he is also capable of change. We've seen him change a lot in terms of music and fashion or whatever, and him being like, I was wrong. He's actually admitted to being wrong, which not a lot of people do publicly, especially at his level. When it comes to like, Sway not having answers, Sway did have the answers clearly. if you listen to that interview, Sway did say the right shit. He would do it yourself, which should have been the answer all along. So I think that's possible. But yeah, there's certain things that I would be very happy to see changed in terms of like this giant federal government, breathing down my neck, which is, horrendous to me.
I want to bring up one.
That's the only thing. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. That's the only thing that he's hearing, and that was again. I'll bring up Dave Smith all day long. He was bad on Kanye, on Ye, and I would much rather have Dave Smith in Ye's ear or a Clint Russell in Ye. And Clint is actually on the right side, but no offense, Clint. Dave is like much closer to speaking with Kanye than you are.
Of course,
I would much rather have Dave Smith talking with him than Nick Fuentes, or at least I would like to. What Kanye seems to do well is like delegate, sort of like what Trump was doing. He's like, I don't know the answer to that, but Milo's going to answer it, or Nick, take that question. Yeah, great. You don't have to know everything, but the people around you should be good, and the people that we know have the answers should be better at understanding this and trying to be like, okay, I understand the cultural ramifications and significance of what this guy is doing, and they don't. That's a libertarian problem. And I don't know how you fix it.
I would love to see more of that. I would love to see more people like that in that circle. And I express that to him too. I was just like, look, I appreciate Nick is super smart. There's a lot of things we don't agree on, and like I try to express most of that to him, in terms of like, enforcing the Christian values and stuff like that. But he's super smart, and I would love to see people having more open debate within that circle. Also, like right now, or at least as of last month, that whole gang was more like, to me, symbolic of like the exiled banded together and just being like, fuck everything, right? And yes, they all agree, but a lot of symbolism to that, to have Milo and Nick and Ali, come together and then just burn everything down. But I think it could grow. I'd love to see it grow and have just more people surround him and just have like begin to have a fuller debate on these topics, which I think is possible. Because I've seen him in interviews, I've seen him in rooms with like, Rick Ross and like Justin Vernon and Nicki Minaj and like all these very different people to create something that is singular and fresh to him. So I think it's possible.
Oh, it's definitely possible. Just because, I mean, the guy remakes himself every couple of years. Like,
right.
By next year, he could be a hardcore fucking ANCAP or a libertarian or something. Like it's anything's possible. But yeah. I just want to say, Shane, if he asks for an advisor, say Clint Russell. We could save the world.
That's it. That's what we need to hear. That's exactly what we need to hear.
Yeah, the best Fed you'll ever find. All of his friends have been nuked. He somehow evades the nuke, but all of his homies.
I'm the only one that has fucking self-control.
He already has enough handlers, Clint. Come on, man.
All right, I want to bring up one more super chat. Obviously, keep dropping super chats if you want to. It's the only one I got right now. Uncle Ted may have some good ideas. I believe that was playing off of your being a fucking technological Amish fuck earlier. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that. You've gone down the TED. You've gone down the TED drill, because we have for sure. At least I have.
There was one day we were taking a road trip, my wife and I. The kids were sleeping, and I just put on the audiobook that Ted wrote. And my wife didn't know who it was. I was just like, "What do you think of what he's saying?" And we were just like, yeah. She was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Because I was a professor for 10 years. I understood. I got a pretty close look at the institutions of the colleges. And we were like agreeing with a lot of stuff. I was like, yeah, that's Ted Kaczynski. She was like, no shit. I think he got a lot of great ideas. I'm not one for violence though, but he saw something. It was almost like he was a time traveler. He saw something so rotten in the universities like a long time ago that I was just starting to make sense of. Yeah, I was just starting to see it when I was a professor. Like the 2014, 2015 time. And so, I didn't have a language for it when I was experiencing it. I was just like, something's really fucked up here. And I don't really understand it. But then, I would cross his book and it's just like, wow, that's crazy. Because he definitely got some things right.
He's a prophet that did some dumb shit that kind of discredited him to normies. But okay, fuck the normies. I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think he should have bombed those people in the mail. It was a little bit dumb. That kind of undermined a lot of his shit. But
that part is bad. That part is bad. Did anyone die? I always forget. Did anyone actually die? Because I feel like there was a failed bomb in the plane, and there was other bombs that exploded, but I don't remember if people.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure a couple did die because he sent out like a lot. He sent out like 7 or 8, I think. So I'm sure one of them was functional.
Yeah. I have so much respect for Ted K that I just assumed they deserved it. So
those kids had it coming.
I don't know. It could be. I don't fucking know. I have not looked at the details. I've read his manifesto. His manifesto is beautiful. I know he bombed some people, and like I've said before, like even if, like generally speaking, like even if you're in a spot where it's like technically morally okay in a certain sense, it's not always pragmatic. Like, like because we're like most of us are anarchists here. Like if a cop is like beating the shit out of you and doing flagrantly awful things, like, yeah, I think in a moral sense, you might be okay to pull your piece and blow them away, but it's probably not going to end very well for you. So like, It may not be the most pragmatic thing to do. And so I don't know specifically about what Ted K did so far as violence, but it probably was not the most pragmatic thing. I'll at least say that. I don't know if it was moral. I don't know. I've never looked into the details of it. I don't know who he killed, what. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
I think he was targeting professors mostly.
Okay, well, there was moral. I got it. Just kidding. I'm sure there's good professors out there. So, yeah.
I don't remember any of those.
The only good professor is the former professor.
That's right.
Well, all right. I got one. Oh, go ahead. Go
ahead, Jose.
No, I was about to bring up a video. I wanted to play a Neil deGrasse Tyson versus Patrick Bet David. I thought it was kind of interesting. But if you got something to say, it'd be a good time now before I bring up the video.
All right, yeah. Just so you wrote for it looked like a music production journal or outlet or something like that. What was the name of that?
I wrote for Pitchfork. Is that what you're talking about? Like the review I did?
Yeah, I think so. No, did you do other musicians as well? Yeah, Pitchfork, or just like rap and hip hop.
For Pitchfork, I just did Kanye, but I have written about music elsewhere. Yeah, I love writing about music.
Any thoughts on John Mayer? I know it's from left field. I just would love to know.
I know nothing about John Mayer aside from the Chappelle skit with white people dancing to guitar in the wild, which is hilarious. I know that guy is super talented. He actually did a song with Kanye a long time ago, and it was pretty good. I honestly know nothing about him other than that guy is massively talented and can do anything on guitar, which is awesome.
Slays mad pussy.
All right. I was hoping that you were able to interview him at some point, because I would love to know. He's one of my favorite artists, so I'd love to know, like,
oh no shit,
like, if you meet him, like, what is it? Is it the real deal, or is it? But all right, never mind.
When he comes on IRL and walks off and just runs for president, I might hit him up.
Then we know.
All right, I want to play this video. I just want to get you guys' thoughts, and then if there's any other super chats, we'll play them, and then we'll probably get out at that point. Because I found this to be interesting. Because Patrick Bet David, I don't know a ton about him, but he seems to be this character who's like kind of coming around sort of to our sphere of things. And then you have somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's like completely like trust the science kind of guy. So I just think there's something interesting going on here. So I want to get you guys' thoughts.
Bitch. Oh, your own body. If you want to get an abortion, get an abortion. If I want to get the vaccine, I get to choose. So you can't force. If I can't force you to get an abortion, you shouldn't be able to force me to get
because it's not about you. It's about people you interact with, and that's the social contract of public health.
We don't even know if the vaccine worked or not at the time.
Yes, that's what the trials are, dude. That's why these trials. Are you missing data out there?
But let me ask you a question. Are we saying only one type of scientists are right?
No, we're saying that the system in place,
the 16,000 that signed that.
No. The system in place to test vaccines. Yeah. There's an entire system that's in place. That with review boards and all of it,
and the average
that's in place. Now you can say what you can say is, I have a better idea than all these review boards and all these agencies and the CDC. I have a better idea. Here's what you should do, and that would have made everything better. Okay, you can put forth that idea, but what I'm saying is, in a case where you can contaminate someone else, it's not about you. It's about the collective
You're assuming
health.
You're assuming because somebody can take the vaccine, won't get COVID, which, by the way, I don't need to play the clips for you to see it, where everybody said, hey, if you get it, you're not going to get, if you take the vaccine, you're not going to get a Rachel Maddow, Joe Biden. I can give you Fauci. I can give you, and you've seen these clips before. It's not like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, what happened
They were wrong.
Hold on. So, the strain evolved.
Oh God,
I hate that guy. He's
We
a
could have
hemorrhoid.
probably-
muted.
Oh, I did it again. Yeah, that's all of it. I probably could play more. When I watched that, like for me, what stood out to me, and obviously we can discuss this, but I just felt like the therefore is what really fucking stuck out to me. It's like, okay, even if we accept all of the premises that Neil deGrasse Tyson puts forward here, it's like, okay, we have this science thing, we have this process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we determine that this, and if you don't do this, then, you know, it could be bad for other people. Therefore, like that is where it fucking gets me, is like, okay, we have this entity, this science entity that says, you know, you need to do this to help other people. Therefore, like the idea that then that means that you should do this. Because there, in my head, it's like, okay, even if we accept all of your arguments that like, hey, this is the right thing to do for the you know, public health. Therefore, that means that you have to do this.
You know what though?
That's what really fucking trips me up. Obviously, there's like a million other points to pick at in between there, but like that is where it gets me. It's like, and obviously that comes down to the idea of like that I am presenting an objective truth to you, and that means that therefore you should do this. And the idea that anything is objective whatsoever, in my opinion, is like kind of just silly, because there's always room for disagreement. Is kind of like, all right, but I don't know if you guys have any thoughts from that little clip. I wish it was longer. I feel like it's probably so much more. But
From that clip, I'm just like, part of me when I saw it, I'm so over like being angry about it. Like it's already been beaten to death that it's complete bullshit. But I'm like, at least this guy believes it. Like when I watch Fauci talk, I'm like, he doesn't even believe the shit he's saying. He knows it's fake. He knows like the vaccine never worked. This guy, I'm like, he's a true believer. He's getting worked up. You see his hands and all this stuff. He's stuttering. Like when I come home and I ask my 4-year-old daughter how her day was, it sounds like what he sounded like right there. But that's just like nervous energy because he believed it. So it's refreshing to see.
Let me coin a term if it doesn't exist already. Basically, every idea has already been said. But I think it was appeal to bureaucracy, which is fucking insane to do. He was basically saying that the establishment, the structure of the system, creates a conclusion by which we must all acquiesce. That's what he's saying.
Contract stuff. Really,
yeah, that's what he's saying. But he's appealing to the bureaucracy. He's appealing to that as if that is just what we should do. But if you look in hindsight, or if you're like us, you look in the moment, you realize that it was all fatally flawed from its inception. And he is not willing to reflect on it whatsoever. And it just strikes me as ideological capture. He's a piece of fucking shit, is what he is. Yep. And I despise him. I despise him even more than I do Fauci, because Fauci is owned. This guy is just a fucking ideologue of the highest caliber.
Hey, he got paid too, Clint.
Yeah, well, he gets paid a little bit, but not what Fauci is.
No, that fake NASA bullshit.
And he makes me want to bring back slavery.
He's a quintessential. That should be a new shirt with his face.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's face, bring back slavery right below it.
Is that your merch? Yeah,
that's what I do. All right, we're making it. There you
go. He's like the quintessential expert who like you can't like go against his authority and the authority of his authority. And it drives me mad. Like all I think of when I hear him or anyone talk like that is all the people who've been fucked up from that vaccine. I know way more people who've been literally fucked up, lost. Yeah. No, when I say lost lives, they haven't died. They've been paralyzed. Their brains have been turned off. They've got holes in them, in their hearts. Like people have had their lives mutilated. Like I know people who had COVID, and like that's a whole other stories. I don't believe the tests everyone took were so legit, but
Make sure you guys go check me out on Odyssey. But go on.
Sorry, I always forget what we can't say.
No, keep going. You're good. This isn't Tim Cast.
Okay.
It's all right.
But I met this lady who was an ER doctor for 40 years, and they forced her to get the shot. And after the second dose, right after the second dose, her brain literally turned off. She is crippled. When I met her, I didn't know her prior. I only met her post second shot. She a total cripple in a wheelchair, can't walk and hardly talk. I thought it was neurological. It was born with, until we started talking to her, and she was all about the shots and da 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 da. Then she has this experience. She's done, like lost her job, lost her livelihood, lost her family, no, like just terrible. So I just see this smugness of someone like that, and it makes me sick, because like lady is also not unique, because I've seen lots of people. I just met a guy like this, not as bad as her, but he's been pretty bad off in Phoenix, and it was terrible. And like the shit, actually, it really really upsets me. This is why my shirts will just be calling for Nuremberg trials when I see that shit.
Well, if I was being serious, that's what I would call for. That's what I would call for too.
Neil deGrasse Tyson shirt's way funnier.
Yeah, if you think about it, you can't have these slaves all vaccinated because they just be dropping dead in the fields.
Yeah, that
wouldn't make sense.
Heat exhaustion.
Yeah, that's the biggest like mind fuck for me. Like if this is because a lot of people go full depopulation, and it's like for me, it's like okay, but you're like giving it to all your brainwashed, like it's going to get the majority of your brainwashed people, and it's like then going to kill them all. Like then you're just left with people that are like fuck you, like it, like that's the biggest thing that like fucks with my head, the idea of like people go full on depopulation and then it's going to kill everyone type shit, which I feel like that's going a little too crazy. Maybe it's legit, but it's like that doesn't really seem like a smart idea for the elites. Like that might not work out well for them.
Well, unless you actually are a Malthusian and you believe that the world is dangerously overpopulated and climate change is all real. I mean,
but it's just like, why would you set out this plan to murder all the people that like are your people? And then it's like now you're left with people that don't like you. Like,
it's not just that. It's like it's worse now if you get into like the leaky vaccine theory where people are shedding whatever is in the vaccines, which is quite alarming. So that's possible. I mean, we know that it's responsible for the mutations that are happening, which are I'm still a little bit sick because I think I just had it. I don't know. I don't test myself, but yeah, that's concerning. Where if this is like a leaky, spreadable vaccine, or if they're putting in bees or whatever the fuck they were doing, it could be full depopulation.
Dude,
I think they're going to put it into the livestock population.
Dude, I was really stoned
they were
the
just
other
talking
day.
about that, yeah.
Dude, I was really stoned the other day, and it's almost retarded, but it's almost like borderline profound thought. I'm like, what if it like kills everybody, but the ones that it doesn't kill, it gives them fucking superpowers, and there's a retarded superpower army. It's like I don't know, this is like way too much edibles deep like thought.
No, that's regular. Those are regular vaccines, and the superpower is autism, Jose.
Yes, there you go. I think you know, I'm pretty anti all shots at this point, but it's not just that. I think they're when I say I think there's a lot. Just think everyone's trying to kill us. I don't even think of like elites anymore. I think there's just a lot of elites. They're not all working together, and they just want to kill you with the food we eat, the water we drink. Like everything is fucking poison right now.
Yeah,
literally everything.
Crazy.
You know, we go out of our way to buy flour from another country because doesn't have all this shit in it. We filter our water, like you talk about the fluoride. We used to eat a lot of salmon, and you find out the salmon that you buy at the market that's so, quote unquote wild has been breeding with bioengineered salmon since the 90s that the FDA approved to release into the water with wild salmon. For my whole life almost, what I thought was wild salmon is actually salmon that's been fucking salmon that's half bug, So
well, Alex Gladstein was on my show a couple days ago, and he's explaining how the IMF basically has created this division of labor when it comes to food production. And I think much of the reason that we're poisoning ourselves is because of that. So like basically like I know this sounds crazy and I talk about it way too much, but like if you at the root cause of everything is like the centralized finance arms of the globe. And I know this is why people like Kanye start to go down that path of like, well, who the fuck are these people? I don't actually think that it's a racial or ethnic or anything group.
Right.
I just think it's people that are fucking power mad lunatics.
I think the people who fucked him certainly are. But
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
when we start getting into the deeper conspiracy, like we're talking about the government, like ultimately it comes down to like the people in, like within the government and even above that. And I'm like, who even knows what ethnicity they are? They're all mixed up, but they're definitely
If they're even
probably
human.
lizard.
If they're even human.
I do
They're
think they
obviously
play.
lizards.
Let me say, Shane, I love how you probed with Kanye, where you kind of like, you're like simulation theory, you like that, and he's like question mark, you're like, oh, let's move on. And then you said the skin suit with Joe Biden, and I was like, yes. And I could tell the way he answered you, he's like right over his head. He's like, I don't know what that means, but I'm like, I got you, man. There's a skin suit, and he has no hands either.
Yeah,
I think
said
that's the
earlier.
other reason. That's the other reason we all love that piece so much, is because it was like any one of us three were interviewing Kanye. We were like, it's just
Like, yo,
that's what I say.
That's
like, yo, you think
incredible.
this
Hell yeah.
motherfucker has hands or what?
I don't think he has a body, dude. I don't think he's a real
Dude,
thing.
I love my favorite. I told you earlier, my favorite conspiracy is he doesn't have hands, because there were those multiple videos where it was like his hands were bad. It wasn't like other stuff. It was like, this motherfucker does not have hands. And
What
it's like,
was
that's
that?
it.
How come we're not talking about that still? Like his hand went through the microphone. Like, what is this shit?
Like, really
Right.
CGI in his hands? Like everything else was normal. It's just the hands.
His hand did go through that microphone.
That's the peak part of the simulation, is we're seeing it break through right there. I remember watching the it was the Chauvin trial. Did you guys watch the Chauvin trial at all? Like,
little.
I watched the shit out of that trial, and
I just
there
assumed it was a
part-
black dude's fault and moved on. Just kidding. Just kidding.
There's a part in that trial. If you go back, I gotta find this clip. There's a dude who walked into the courtroom, and his foot goes through the floor, and it's like a glitch. People are like, oh, it's just something that happens with the cameras. I'm like, yo, that was weird, dude.
I saw that.
So
That
when
shit was fucking wild.
Bro, that
You
shit
see,
was weird. I don't know.
people,
I just
like-
think it's all fake, man.
Dude,
This
you go down
stuff
the
is
MJ
happening-
trail and like the courts there. That's when it gets wild.
Oh yeah, that's
You're like,
weird.
what the fuck is going on here?
This stuff is constantly happening around us, and then people are like, "Hey, Top, why don't you tweet more seriously? Why don't you take just like?" Because I just can't. This shit is all a joke. It's hilarious. This is
Right.
It might not even be real. Like we.
Yeah,
I'm
they
just trying to
fuck
have
with
fun.
us so goddamn much. I don't know what reality is. I literally think one of my best friends could legitimately be a Fed. I don't fucking know.
I don't know how you guys
No.
can smoke weed with this worldview, because like
Right.
if I were in
I
your
couldn't do it.
headspace, if I were in your headspace and I were to get high, I would completely lose my mind.
Dude,
Oh,
I
I
can
would
smoke
die.
weed
I
with
would
you,
die.
Clint. I legitimately think there's a strong possibility you could be a Fed.
Anyone interested in this, please refer to the episode of Tower Gang where we discuss our intrusive thoughts. That was a good one.
That
Clint goes off
No.
the deep eds. I talk about driving my car off the road just to prove I'm not an
I talk
NPC.
about like how hard, like if I could kill a woman with one punch.
Just things that go in your head, man. Whatever.
Yeah,
I
no,
think I could, like a
still smoke
90-pound
weed.
woman. I think I could kill with one punch. But
Oh,
I'm not
God.
gonna do it. But it's just like part of me is like, could I? I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the things you think out in the world. Why not? It's all fake anyway, dude. You're free to think it.
This little 100-pound Asian chick isn't real. Oh shit, she's real. I'm in
Right.
prison forever.
Shit. That person's fake too, though. You know, it's all relative, man.
It's all
This is
Dude,
why I
our
can't-
fucking
this is why I can't smoke weed.
conversation about Cole just driving on the highway, like just a flick of my wrist, and it's like I could just break the matrix and just fucking like, why
Oh,
can't I just
no.
do it?
He was saying if you ever drive down the road and then fantasize like his wife's driving, he's looking out the window and he's thinking if he had laser
Lasers.
eyes and just shooting people in half with them. I'm like, yeah, me too sometimes. I
Yeah.
fucked up, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you hear this shit, when people actually speak honestly, it makes you feel less
No,
crazy.
Shane is gonna go
Yeah.
tell Tim this stuff, and they're gonna be like, "You're not allowed next week." Do
Dude,
not
trust me.
come
You
here."
tell Ian Crossland this, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I got a whole lot more." But you're on like level 2. I'm on level 9. Let's go, bro.
Dude,
can't
I
wait to talk to
100%
him.
only reason I want to go to Timcast because I just in my head I imagine there's gonna be some scenario where I could do a lot of hallucinogens with Ian and I gotta cuddle with like Cassandra's monkeys while I trip
Oh,
balls.
monkeys again.
Yo, her monkeys are awesome.
I just can't imagine like having like doing like blasting off on DMT and just cuddling with like a really sweet monkey.
Oh my god.
It's a reality, you know. It is very possible.
Yeah,
I
am like
the drugs I used to do, and like I used to like have like terrible trips. No one told me to not take an eighth of mushrooms every time. I didn't know you could do smaller amounts, so I was always hitting up eighths, and then just ball and like at 30 or no, it was like once the trip would start to happen, like maybe 30 minutes into it, I would every time pass out, and every group of people would say this, and there's different people be like, okay, you passed out, then you woke up and you were like talking upside down. And I remember seeing upside down, like everything was inverted. So I was like, okay, I gotta not do an eighth.
Tales from the inverted world.
No, exactly. But like,
yeah, this motherfucker was speaking to God every week.
But I couldn't like, I'm like naturally paranoid all the time since I was a kid. I remember about everything. I was like 8 years old when my mom described what the social security number was, and I cried. I didn't want the government to have a number on me. I've always been like that, so I can't even imagine being high now. Like after like
you've been a libertarian since jump.
Yeah, man, that's the most basic thing I've ever heard.
Anti-establishment.
He cries because he has that social security
upset.
number.
I'm so upset.
What a savage.
So upset. Fucking terrible.
All right, I got a super chat. $5 secretly and entropy super chat. I don't know what you're getting at with that, but thanks for the $5.
I didn't think that I would be able to like Shane any more than I did, but now, like, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. No, this has been a blast. I love it.
I hope I get around too, and you get to come out to hang out, dude. My dream scenario, like obviously, like we've said, our dream scenarios. They let us bring a third, and we can bring like our homie Fat Dave. So be Clint, TopLobsta, and Fat Dave. So 3 of the guys from the crew. But second best, I like if you got to sit co-host, that'd be cool. I think you would vibe really well. That'd be fun. I'm like so excited. I'm like bummed. Just for people to know, for the next couple of weeks, you'll probably only see like 1 episode drop a week because I want to be on a cruise. So I'll probably for like the next week or 2 ish. I'm gonna be out with the family, so you know, finally, it's been a long ass time, probably a couple of years since I've done anything with the family, like vacation wise. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm gonna be so bummed. Y'all guys are gonna be a fucking Timcast while I'm fucking like I'm gonna be out and about. Like I could technically, when I get off on the island, like all right, bitches, leave me the fuck alone. I got 2 hours. I'm gonna watch this shit. But it's like I don't want to be that guy on vacation. But it's like I'm so excited for where the show's going.
Dog, don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it. We're
guys,
gonna fucking crush.
I don't want to. I actually got to run. My wife just texted me, but
yeah,
I was just about to wrap.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, drop the
pleasure
plugs,
meeting you, man. Yo.
You too, brother. Hopefully, I'll see you later. You can
Yep.
catch my stuff at toplobsta.com. TopLobsta with an A on Twitter. Go to podcast merch for Legion of Skanks, part of the problem. You're welcome. Merch and stuff like that. We're gonna be moving along with that pretty soon, and check out Tower Gang. But I got to run, and thank you for the conversation, guys. Shane, this was awesome. I hope I get to talk to you again soon, man.
Absolutely. Yep. Have a good night, dude.
All right. Peace out, guys.
All right, see you, bud.
I'll just say,
TopLobsta.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick. Liberty Lockdown. This week alone, I've had on James Lindsay, Josie, Jordan Schachtel, Dr. Ladapo. Yeah, Dr. Ladapo, Alex Gladstein, and Roger Stone. That's such a fucking retarded lineup. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, you guys suck at life, and I hate you. So put your shit together. January 17th, Tower Gang will be IRL, motherfuckers. It's going to be TopLobsta, myself, hopefully Fat Dave. We'll see. But we don't have any clue. But and maybe Shane Cashman. How cool would that be? So thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, Shane, I want you to get a full on, like, I know this is just quick plugs, but no, take your time because I know you've done a ton of shit. Like, it was actually hard for me to, like, try to, like, research you as a guest. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this motherfucker's fucking everywhere. Like, what the fuck? Like, you're talking about, like, music, doing fucking weird conspiracy shit, talking to Ye. Like, what the fuck? Like, but, like, if any, it was, like, all shit that I'm, like, got my dick hard. So I'm like, dude, I could do, like, 10 fucking of these 4 horsemen with this guy. Like, this is amazing.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Like, take your time with the plugs. So we're in a rush, you know, or, you know, whatever you want to do. You've done so much wild shit. You're all over the place, but they're all interesting. All like, but yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate that. Yeah, December was crazy. Maybe the craziest month of my life because I was with you in LA which is it's even weird to say out loud. That happened. And then I got back, and I think it was like a week and a half later, I was with Carrie Lake in Phoenix for her trial. So like I just happened to be in Phoenix with Tim and them. They were doing that turning thing, which was bizarre. Because we really stood out. I'll just say that. Walking around that place. But it was fun. It was nice. They were very nice to us. But the night there, one of the nights there, we found out that Carrie's trial was going to be seen. So I stayed behind, got to talk to her. That's I think one of my even I don't want to say I like it more than EA stories. I'm very proud of that story. It was a crazy few days, and I was very happy to write that story. So yeah, you can find those stories at timcast.com. If you go to my my Twitter page, I'm at Shane Cashman. I've got a link tree up there. I don't know if that's still allowed or not with Elon, but all those stories are there. I also wrote 2 books for Tim in the past year. Both Tales from the Inverted World. The first book is like a collection of different investigations from UFO abductions and simulation theory, the Long Island serial killer, which was insane. And then the next book that is on YouTube partly, and the rest is on Timcast exclusively. That's my investigation into the Confederate gold in Georgia, where some motherfuckers tried to threaten my life because I was getting on their gold and saw some UFOs and some weird shit. So all that's linked up in my link tree on Twitter. And I got some other stories in the works now. And yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to have been on, guys, and talk to you. It's been
I'm so glad I had you. I really like when I listened to your Timcast episode, because I did research you a little bit. I listened to your Timcast episode and I heard Eliza like talking about you, and I just was like, it kind of come off to me for a minute, like she's just like, you know, kind of bloating, sucking your dick essentially. Like I don't know, like maybe she's just being ingenuine. I don't know. And like I'm not saying that in a bad way towards Eliza. She's maybe just being sweet, playing it up. And then I read your the first part of your like yay thing. I was like, she's fucking right. This dude is going places. So
you.
like I really think you are something. I'm like I really am interested in like the way your mind works, the stuff you're covering, you're all over the place, but stuff that's like I think important and interesting. And so I'm like I really think there's something you're going places, and I'm like I don't know. I'm just glad we got to talk to you.
A year from now, you're going to be known as the anarchist Matt Taibbi. You're going to be doing like deep dives on shit. You're going to be doing shit like
that.
People won't even believe. So
yeah, Elon, let me get those files. Let's
fucking
do
A,
it.
dude.
Yeah, for real. I have to do another one of these 4 Ponies Boys with you sometime because I just genuinely just love your vibe. I think it's great. So
Same for
yeah,
you, it was a blast.
Yeah, yeah, I have the this is a No Way Jose show. You can find me on YouTube, all major audio podcatchers, audience as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. If you want to support me, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Yeah, I genuinely do want to have you on at some point. There's like so much other shit to cover with you. It's insane.
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate your time. This is already a long episode, so you can tell it was good. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. I appreciate everyone who showed up. Appreciate everyone who super chatted. I'm looking forward where things go. This was a fun time for sure. And
Awesome.
we are done.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.